So Joe Biden just did something huge.
This week, I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana. Marijuana in our country is already legal for privileged people. And the war on drugs has been a war on black and brown people.
So as you may remember, 2 years ago, back when Joe Biden was still campaigning for president, he promised to decriminalize marijuana. And he promised to expunge the records of people that have been charged with possession.
Number one, I think we should decriminalize marijuana, period. And I think anyone who has a record should be let out of jail, their records expunged, it be completely zeroed out. But I do think it makes sense, based on data, that we should study what the long-term effects are for the use of marijuana. That's all it is. Number one, everybody gets out, record expunged. As president, I'll work to reform the criminal justice system, improve community policing, decriminalize marijuana, and automatically expunge prior marijuana convictions. I'm Joe Biden, and that's my commitment to you.
Now, he seems to actually be at least taking the first few steps towards fulfilling that campaign promise. So, Joe Biden just announced that he is going to be pardoning thousands of people who've been convicted at the federal level of possession. Now, just possession charges, not sales or anything like that. And so we can have a bigger conversation about the pros and cons of this. Additionally, Joe Biden says that he's asking his staff to look into the entire process involved in descheduling marijuana. So, where are we at this point? Basically, Joe Biden is kind of doing the minimum that still technically qualifies as actually moving on decriminalization. And basically the minimum components of fulfilling his campaign promise. I, for one, think that just possession charges is not broad enough. I think it should be expanded to sales as well. But starting with the possession charges is something that is a start. And obviously, we recognize that expunging those convictions can free up a lot of people to now vote. It will quite literally let thousands of people out of prison who are currently incarcerated for basically no reason. And it really is the first step towards actually dismantling the war on drugs, which is something that no president since Richard Nixon has actually done anything towards. So this could actually be a major step forward. And then, if we have the long-term descheduling or rescheduling of marijuana, that could make a huge difference as well. Now, this is one of those things where it will make a very big difference whether or not it is descheduled or it's rescheduled. If it's completely descheduled, then that would very effectively decriminalize it, at very least at the federal level, and make a huge difference for thousands of people across the country. But if it is just rescheduled, then it would still be treated as a controlled substance, just at a different level, which means that sentences would have completely different degrees of severity and things like that. It would also potentially mean that some of the war on drugs apparatus might start to scale down. It's also a little bit frustrating that Joe Biden isn't just completely descheduling it through executive order. Instead, he's choosing to take some sort of weird procedural route when he very much has the authority to just sign an executive order to deschedule. But obviously, we know Joe Biden really loves the pomp and circumstance and really loves proceduralism. Another point to this that is really, really frustrating is the fact that people have been sitting in federal prisons for 2 years when they could have been pardoned 2 years ago. This is a move that seems to be blatantly political. It's obviously something leading up to the midterms, doing something popular to help shore up support for the Democrat. And so while it is very positive and life-changing for thousands of people across the country, the unfortunate reality is that Joe Biden really did wait a pretty long time to do it. And the way he's implementing it seems to be very procedural and slow. But at least as it stands today, thousands of people will be receiving pardons. And that is fundamentally a good thing.